you could take a look down on the roofs of commercial buildings like shopping centers, warehouses, and office buildings, you probably notice that most of the roofs are white, and with good reason. Commercial buildings often have white roofs to reduce the cooling load of that building, which makes it cheaper to operate and lowers its carbon footprint. Now take a look at houses. What do you see? Almost every roof has shingles that are black, dark gray, or brown. You'd almost never see a white roof on a house. The truth is, if homeowners were willing to install white shingles, they'd reduce their cooling load. But most people object to those aesthetics. What if there's a way to get the benefits of a white roof while maintaining the look of a traditional roof? I'm headed to an R&D facility that's developing just that. Hey, Todd.
Hey, welcome, Ross.
Glad to be here.
Looking forward to talk about solar effective shingles today.
Okay.
And first, we're going to start off some basics on sunlight. The sunlight is composed of a few forms of radiation, one being ultraviolet, which is a few percent.
Right. I mean, we all know ultraviolet is very destructive. It causes skin cancer, and it also degrades building materials.
Correct. Next is visible light, which is a little less than half.
Right, the colors that we see from the rainbow.
Yeah. And then the third is infrared light, which is a little bit more than half, but carries a lot of the heat.
Right, I mean, that heat gets absorbed by those dark shingles, and it gets hot up there.
A dark roof and the sunlight can get up to 180 degrees Fahrenheit.
Yeah.
Okay. And what we're trying to do is actually reflect some of that infrared light back and not absorb it into the house. And that's what we're trying to do with solar effective shingles.
Gotcha. Can I see some of the shingles?
Yes, let's show you how we do it.
All right.
So welcome to the lab, Ross.
This feels a lot like my college physics lab.
So you're right at home.
Right at home.
So one of the most important properties we're going to speak about today is solar reflectivity, okay? Which is a measure of how much of the sunlight is reflected back to the sky. It can range from 0, being pure black material, to 100% being a pure white material.
So 100% would be everything being reflected
back.
Gotcha.
Correct. Okay. When you look at a standard shingle, this has a solar reflectivity of around 8 to 10%. Okay. Pretty standard for a dark material. A black shingle can have around 3 to 5%
So
solar
it's really
reflectivity.
low.
Very low.
Okay.
When you actually design solar reflective shingles, right? We design these to have a solar reflectivity of about 20%.
So double, more than double that.
Yes, more than double has a dramatic impact on your roof.
Okay, and it looks the same.
Yes, actually we're able to get that solar reflectivity while maintaining these dark colors. Then we can take that one step further and actually use a lighter material blend, but also a specially formulated granule to take that to a solar reflectivity of 40%.
So double that.
Double that.
Wow, and definitely visually very different.
Yes, and again, a dramatic impact on the cooling of the roof.
Sure, okay. So how is it made?
Okay, so asphalt shingles are made with a couple of core ingredients, one being asphalt, and the second being fiberglass. We actually use the asphalt and fiberglass mat to create this reinforced substrate, which then accepts our granules.
Gotcha.
For our granules, we use crushed rock, and we coat the crushed rock with colored pigments to make colored granules. Okay?
Got it.
We then take those colored granules, blend them together, and deposit them on the surface to create our granule surface, which gives us the look of our shingle.
This process is the same, whether you're making a conventional shingle or a solar reflective one. The difference is, on the solar reflective shingle, the granules have a reflective coating. This gives you the same overall look from the ground, but more than doubles the amount of infrared energy being reflected. In order to boost that solar reflectivity even higher though, Todd's team had to change the way they manufacture those granules.
We can actually start with the base rock, put our first white coating onto that base rock, which adds that highly reflective layer onto the rock. On top of that coating, we can add a colored coating with our pigments. Okay? Any infrared light that passes through the color coating will then reflect off of that white coating to give it that boost in solar reflectivity.
On a highly solar reflective shingle, the coating on the granule is infrared transparent. So infrared energy from the sun will pass through that colored coating, hit the white layer underneath, and reflect much of its energy back to the sky. It's this multi-layer coating that allows for significant gains in solar reflectivity. Once they've developed the formula in the lab, it's time to prototype and test.
So Jenn will use the heat gun to heat the asphalt in order to accept the granules hot. And we do this under a timer in order to get the right heating profile on the asphalt substrate.
How long is that?
It's about 48 seconds. Jenn will then take the granules and pour them onto the top of the asphalt substrate just to coat it. And then she'll use a weighted roller to roll the granules into the asphalt substrate. Jenn will then shake off the excess granules, and then we put this into a press and press it hot under pressure for about a minute. to ensure the granules are embedded in the asphalt substrate.
It's pretty precise.
Yes. So now, Ross, we're going to measure some of our samples to measure the solar reflectivity.
Okay.
So what we have here is a solar reflectometer. We'll put this on our first standard shingle. What it does is it sends diffuse light through the sample and then measures the reflection of that light back.
Yep, 0.08.
8%. Okay.
Right.
And then we'll look at a solar reflective shingle. So about 22%. Okay. And then we'll look at a highly reflective shingle. So this is about 44%.
Got it. And this is the one that has the specialized coating.
Correct. Okay. So this is one test we do, and let me show you some other tests we do. Okay. So here in this lab, we actually do accelerated weather testing for building materials. Roofs in particular need to last a long time, 20 to 30 years on the lifespan of a roof, under some pretty harsh conditions.
Yeah, I mean, roofs, you got wind, you got rain, you got snow, you got hail.
Exactly. So we need to use tools to simulate those conditions to accelerate the testing, because it's unrealistic to test over 20 years.
Sure.
So we're going to have Olivier prepare some samples of shingles. These tools actually have a number of features. This one uses UV lamps to simulate the intensity of the sun, 2 times the intensity of the sun at noon.
Oh yeah, you can see it. Look at the blue light.
And this actually gives us that high intensity to really look at how UV will age the different components of the shingle.
So the UV is actually degrading the shingle.
Yes, I mean, it's sunlight generating heat, but also degradation over time.
So how long will a test like this run for?
With this testing, we're actually putting UV sunlight for about 48 hours on the sample. However, we can do various hours for more longer times. We'll do thousands of hours to simulate years of exposure.
Right, so this test is typically maybe days and potentially a month.
Yes, exactly, or longer.
Got it.
So while the UV lights are on, we're also heating the chamber, and we heat the samples up to about 140 degrees Fahrenheit. Then the lights are going to come off. We're going to actually put a mist onto the sample. That mist actually adds moisture to the sample as part of the degradation, but also a thermal shock onto these samples that would experience in a natural environment to really get that realistic condition. Then after the spray cycle, the equipment's going to have a heated water pan to actually put a moisture or condensation onto the samples, which simulates similar to having dew onto a sample in the morning, actually. That moisture impact and moisture effect onto the sample.
Right, so you're adding relative humidity to the chamber.
Exactly. And after the first UV cycle, we then actually do a soiling test. We take the soiling solution, which consists of your normal pollutants, dust, clay, and sediments. We actually put this into a pressurized chamber. We pressurize the chamber about to 20 psi, and then we mist the solution over the sample, which provides that mimicking of the soiling in the natural environment. They go back into the UV chamber for another cycle, and then we can test for the age solar reflectance of the shingle.
Gotcha.
And then beyond this testing, we do other standard tests for shingles, including fire classification, and these shingles are rated to Class A fire rating.
That's great.
Right.
It's amazing to see the R&D you guys are working on. It's such a common building material. What is the cost premium like for technology like that?
So for basic solar reflective shingles, it can be about 10% premium over conventional shingles. But as you increase performance, a high performance solar reflective shingle can be 2 times the cost.
Got it. I mean, it's interesting because I used to live in Germany, and when I worked there, we were studying how to basically absorb as much of the solar radiation as possible. Because we were heating buildings, we were trying to do solar thermal collectors for hot water, and you guys are doing the exact opposite. You guys are trying to reflect that energy.
Yeah, in this case, when you think about the US and its climate zone and this application, we want to remove as much of that heat as possible from heating the building or heating the home. So we're not putting that energy cost into cooling.
Great. Well, thank you, Todd, so much for the tour.
Okay, thanks for coming.
Keep up the great work.
Okay.
Nice piece, Ross.
Yeah.
When I hear 20 to 40% increase in solar reflectivity, that kind of gets my attention. But it's got me wondering, how does that translate into actual savings? Do I have to run my air conditioning less, and how much less?
I mean, well, of course it depends. Right. So if we focus on the highly reflective shingle, the one that looks more white at 40%, if that's used in a heating dominant climate like where we are here in the Northeast, you're not going to save that much. Right. But down in Arizona and Florida, you're absolutely going to save. And typically you're going to save 10 to 15% on your cooling costs.
Gotcha.
And if you go with the middle tier one, the one that's 20%, you're going to have to save a little bit less.
Right. The savings goes down accordingly. Gotcha.
Makes sense. Makes sense. But you always bring us these fancy innovations in building, and I'm not, and it always comes with a steep learning curve, and I'm not into that. All right. What I do like about these shingles is it's the same installation process. So my guys installing a shingle like that won't know that that shingle is benefiting
The process
the homeowner.
doesn't change.
Right. But I also like the idea of it's a lighter shingle. I think of that shingle not getting so hot, so it's going to last longer for the homeowner.
Yeah, those roofs heat up and they start to degrade quicker, right?
Absolutely.
Cool. All right. Well, hey, you sold pops. Nice job. Thanks for watching. This Old House has got a video for just about every home improvement project, so be sure to check out the others. And if you like what you see, click on the subscribe button. Make sure that you get our newest videos right in your feed.